Well, good morning. Have that first cup of coffee. You're with Michael Crosby, gubernatorial candidate. I began filing paperwork involving article violations several election cycles back. As both a gubernatorial candidate and presidential candidate at those times, dealing with the actions of the state of California violating the Articles of the United States bring about a tremendous understanding because they have violated the Articles of the United States, and the law is very clear in this area that they are not allowed to proceed forward with the process of elections. It's illegal until after the candidate has been compensated. That's the law. That's the law. So these people decided to bow their neck and proceed forward with illegal election processes. That means they effectively ran bad narratives and a vast array of illegal activity that basically equates out in the final quantification that the state of California has been overthrown by a coup. And the apparent leader of the coup would seem to be Mr. Gavin Newsom. Now, major players, Julie Sue, she performed many of the dirty deeds as she is responsible for blacklisting, I believe, upwards of 3.8 million people. This is connected to the COVID stay-at-home and shut-down orders. So blacklisting scheme. She basically took a list of people who had filed for benefits, as well as a list understanding of how many vested citizens in the state had to generally be affected. There are numbers that you would equate to this, because when you do a master shutdown and stay-at-home order, you already understand at a government level how many businesses you're shutting down, how many people potentially are employees that will no longer have work. You have these numbers. So combined with people who were filing for benefits, with also the knowledge of how many people respectively would be out of work, and the logical mathematical equating based upon what the state obviously would have in hand already. Like, how many people do they know definitively, beyond the shadow of a doubt, are employees? They obviously have a reported number. Taxation. They know about accounts. They obviously know something. And then they have other people that they understand would be harmed. Anybody that they would know that could possibly be collecting disability, Social Security. And they also understand things about people who are gig workers, who are someplace in between. They have these ways of understanding these vast numbers. So she goes to the federal government and says, I need money to pay these people. This is our projection of how many people are victims and would qualify for money. And Congress has ordered compensation. So the federal government gives her the money, and she basically divides these monies into various accounts for various reasons. She does something. I'm going to fast forward. Just hold this position, this image in your mind. Just hold that for a moment. I'm going to fast forward to a key pivotal point because it's crucial. We're going to get up to it, but I'm going to bring it out now because it's crucial. There ends up being apparently over 1.2 million people who filed complaints stating they weren't getting their benefits, that somehow they were being blacklisted. They were not getting their benefits. So only 4 people, 4 investigators were assigned to investigate this. 4. And keep in mind, it's a state of emergency. You get up to a certain point, and she's only going to assign 4 people. And they're calling it a fraud investigation. Now let's track back a little bit to the original image you had in your head. She hired more than 16,000 people, according to my research, to hand out money. So she was handing out money to people that did not speak English, that were not citizens, that had no way to verify their identities whatsoever. So she has an express outlet for these people. Yet she creates these different types of approval mechanisms. It's not a standard. She creates all kinds of different mechanisms for different people. You put your name in, you answer certain questions along the way, and the system continuously modifies what type of application process that you're going to have to go through. In other words, there is no true standard. And the more vested of a citizen you are, the more difficult the test, the requirements, the software, which apparently also wasn't working correctly either because it would keep freezing and wouldn't operate. So you end up having a series of mechanisms that are denying people emergency benefits on vast scales. Now, into this, she also is not someone who communicates with business leaders. She just doesn't do it. She apparently exclusively is communicating with unions, according to a later statement before the United States Senate. So we have this situation ongoing that she is not involved in proper continuity of communications. She's not involved in proper continuity of government. She's not involved in proper continuity of elections. So with this, my campaign, I can't get through to these people. They don't want to respond. I keep responding. There's various ways. I mean, I had multiple phones. I tested this blacklisting scheme, this rotary phone system that would just keep discouraging people and giving you the runaround endlessly, forcing you repeatedly to keep listening to the same types of claims. In other words, it's like, I've already heard that over 100 times. I don't need to hear that again. You're deliberately wasting my time. That's already been done. It's like, yeah, I've already been to that webpage. You don't need to keep repeating these things again and again and again. This is cruelty. This is cruelty. This is evil. By the way, this is also known as a listed technique in mind control. It is a known listed technique in mind control to beat people down, to constantly keep confronting them repetitively with information that people already know, have already dealt with. It's also listed as a form of cruelty. It's actually a form of international law violation to do this kind of stuff. It's a form of torture, literally. Torture. But this system is designed by her to work this way. This is designed utilizing what? List of people's names. She used lists of people's names. She used data. She used different types of lists of people's names to make determinations of who to blacklist, who to intentionally blacklist. She designed and approved this system. She had other parties perform the task, but she ordered them to do it. She was also informed of the finished systems. Here you go. This is how it works, what it does. She was in charge of the administration, the approval, the design and approval of these mechanisms. So we have all of these various people that basically are